Shalom, folks. Shalom Dog here once again with your weekly drosh. This is Parashah 10. Can you imagine? Geez, we made it all the way to 10 already. This is Mikketz, and it means at the end. Chapter 41, verse 1 through chapter 44, verse 17. And, well, these are the continuing adventures of Yosef. And, well, when we left last time, he was in prison. The bread maker, the baker, and the wine bearer, or the cupbearer, they both had dreams and everything, and both of them were prophesied properly by Yosef through the power of Ruach HaKodesh. Well, here we are, we're continuing here, okay? And it says, at the end of 2 years, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing beside the Nile River, and there came up out of the river 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they began feeding in swamp grass. After them, there came out of the river 7 more cows, miserable-looking and lean, and they stood by the other cows at the edge of the river. Then the miserable-looking lean cows ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. At this point, Pharaoh woke up, but he went to sleep again and dreamt a second time. 7 full ripe ears of grain grew out of a single stalk. After them, 7 ears, thin and blasted by the heat, and the east wind sprang up, and the thin ears swallowed up the 7 full ripe ears. Then Pharaoh woke up and realized it had been a dream. Now, see, we're going to see how Yah actually works. It doesn't work according to our time, but it works according to his time. Okay? In the morning he found himself, this is verse 8, in the morning he found himself so upset that he summoned all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one there could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, today reminds me of something wherein I am at fault. Pharaoh was angry with his officials and put me in the prison of the house of the captain of the guard, me and the chief baker. One night both he and I had dreams. Each man's dream had its own meaning. There is with us a young man, a Hebrew, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us. He interpreted each man's dream individually, and it came about as he interpreted it to us. I was restored to my office, and he was hanged. Now, see, the cupbearer did not remember Yosef, at least for 2 years, okay? If we remember the last time, the cupbearer didn't remember Yosef at all. He didn't just go out and say, hey, Pharaoh, guess what? No, he just basically just went on with his life. But then when he saw the opportunity to make himself important in the eyes of Pharaoh, all of a sudden he remembered Yosef, okay? Sort of like his little ace up his sleeve there. Then Pharaoh summoned Yosef, and they brought him in quickly out of the dungeon. He shaved himself, changed his clothes, and came into Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Yosef, I have a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard it said about you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Yosef said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are the same. Okay, well, I'm skipping ahead here. Pharaoh told him the same exact dreams about the cows and the grain and everything like that. And then Yosef said to the Pharaoh, the dreams of the Pharaoh are the same. Yah has told Pharaoh what he's about to do. 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears of grain are 7 years. The dreams are the same. Likewise, the 7 lean and miserable-looking cows that came up after them are 7 years, and also the 7 empty ears blasted by the east wind. There will be 7 years of famine. This is what I told Pharaoh. Yahweh has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Here it is. There will be 7 years of abundance throughout the whole land of Egypt, but afterwards there will come 7 years of famine, and Egypt will forget all the abundance. The famine will consume the land, and the abundance will not be known in the land because of the famine that will follow, because it will be truly terrible. Why was the dream doubled for Pharaoh? Because the matter has been fixed by Yahweh, and Yahweh will shortly cause it to happen. And, well, basically, Yosef said, hey, what you need is somebody to organize a recovery plan or a survival plan, basically. And he said, you know, in effect, in today's language, hey, you know, you need a right-hand man. You need a guy to organize all this stuff. You're busy enough with all the stuff that you do, you know. So, you know, you need somebody to collect a tax on the grain and everything else, whatever they produce out of the field, the Pharaoh would take a percentage of that, store it up in the storehouses for the upcoming drought and for the famine. Okay, this is what happened here. And Pharaoh said, okay, Yosef, you are number 2. You're my right-hand guy. You're the second in charge. The only time I will ever usurp your authority is when I'm sitting in my throne and I give my authority. Okay, so Yosef was elevated from a prisoner, from a slave to a prisoner, all the way up to the second most powerful person in all of Egypt. This is pretty cool. This is how Yah works, okay? And he went through a 2-year test. Yosef did. A 2-year test, basically to test his faith. Is his faith going to just fade away? Or is his faith going to remain strong? Is Yah going to see Yosef turning away from him and just gently gliding away from him and just drifting away? Or is Yosef going to come closer to Yah? Well, obviously, Yosef came closer to Yah because Yah blessed him at the end of this trial. That's basically what happened. So now Yosef is very powerful. He's one of the most powerful people in the world because Egypt was a huge mega power then. Okay, it was a superpower. So Yosef's like the second most powerful guy in the world at this time. It's just pretty amazing. But we look at Egypt today, and it's nothing what it used to be. Okay, and well, as we get further on with these drashes and with the Parashah and everything, or Parashot, I should say, as we get further on with it, as we move forward through the Torah, we're going to see why Egypt isn't what it used to be. But at this time, when Yosef was there, he was in this thriving metropolis. I mean, it was just a cornucopia of wealth and prosperity and just abundance and everything else. But it's not the only plan that Yah had for Yosef. It's not just an individual thing, okay? Because Yah will take care of his. And, well, we remember what Yosef's brothers did to him. So let's just continue here. The 7 years of abundance in the land of Egypt ended, and the 7 years of famine began to come, just as Yosef said. There was famine in all the lands, but throughout the land of Egypt there was food. When the whole land of Egypt started feeling the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food, and Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, "Go to Yosef and do what he tells you to do." The famine was all over the earth. But then Yosef opened up all the storehouses and sold food to the Egyptians, since the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Moreover, all countries came to Egypt to Yosef to buy grain. See that? All countries came to Egypt. They were a powerful country then, because the famine was severe throughout the earth. Okay, now this is where it starts getting interesting. Now this is where where Yosef gets to just get a little bit of revenge on his brothers. It's not a harsh revenge, not at all, but he gets to mess with their heads, and it's pretty neat how Yah allowed this to happen. We go on to chapter 42. Now Yaakov saw there was grain in Egypt. So Yaakov said to his sons, "Why are you staring at each other?" "Look," he said, "I've heard that there's grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us from there, so we could stay alive and not die." Thus Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt, except for Benjamin, Joseph's brother. Yaakov did not send him with his brothers because he was afraid something might happen to him. Now see, that Benjamin is the one who took Joseph's place, basically, as the father's favorite, okay? But he really held Benjamin closely to him. He didn't want anything to happen to him. He wanted to shelter this child. But if you remember the dreams that Yosef had, where his brothers and his father all prostrated themselves to him and everything like that, and how they they resented him for that. They're like, oh, come on, put away the ego here, okay, pal? We're not going to deal with you and your little ego, thinking you're so great and high and mighty. Well, Yah exalted him to greatness, and this dream was a prophecy, because we go in here, it says, remembering the dreams that he had about them, Yosef said to them, you are spies. This is when the brothers came here, came to buy the grain. He said, you're spies. You've come to spot our country's weaknesses. And they said, no, my lord. They didn't recognize him. This has been a good number of years, okay? And Yosef has matured even more, okay? And I'm pretty sure he was wearing the Egyptian garb and everything like that, the weird-looking eye makeup and the weird hats and wigs and stuff they had then, and the clothes. They didn't recognize him. But Yosef remembered the dreams that he had about them, and he said to them, you're spies. You've come to spot our country's weaknesses. No, my lord, they replied. Your servants have come to buy food. We're all the sons of one man. We're upright men. Your servants aren't spies. No, he said to them, you've come to spy out our country's weaknesses. They said, we, your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. That's Canaan. The youngest stayed with our father, and another one is gone. They're talking about Yosef there. They're talking to Yosef about Yosef. Just as I said, replied Yosef, you're spies. Here's how you can prove you're not lying. As Pharaoh lives, you will not leave here unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother. Meanwhile, you will be kept in custody. This will prove whether there is any truth in what you say. Otherwise, as Pharaoh lives, you are certainly spies. Then he put all of them together in prison for 3 days. Just a little comeuppance to them, And, he never hated his brothers. He never resented his brothers for what they did. Okay, he was saddened by it, but he still loves his brothers. And you can see that. He could have had them sentenced to death. He's that powerful. But no, he had them put in prison for 3 days. He's messing with them. It's pretty cool. But on the third day, Yosef said to them, do what I say and stay alive, for I fear Yahweh. If you are upright men, let one of your brothers remain incarcerated in the prison you're being kept in while you go and carry the grain back to relieve the famine in your homes. But bring back your youngest brother to me. In this way, your statements will be verified and you won't die. So they did it. And, they end up, Yosef made sure that all the money that they brought for the grain, he made sure that that was put back into their grain packs, okay? So, basically, when they got home, they had the money and the grain. So that's really messing with their minds. They're going to be like, they're thinking, wow, they're going to think we stole this stuff from them or something, or that we cheated them somehow. And Yosef's already coming off like, hey, I'm not going to take any of your garbage here, So his brothers are really starting to soil their underwear, so to speak, okay? It's just classic. It's just wonderful. For those of you who don't read the scriptures, come on, you're missing out on some wonderful things here. I'm telling you. But as they were all paranoid and everything, and they're thinking, geez, they're going to think we stole this or cheated them, they said to each other, we are in fact guilty concerning our brother. He was in distress and pleaded with us. We saw it and wouldn't listen. This is why this distress has come upon us now. Reuben answered them, didn't I tell you? Don't wrong the boy? But you wouldn't hear of it. Now comes the reckoning for his blood. They had no idea that Yosef understood them, since an interpreter was translating for them. Yosef turned away from them and wept. Then he returned and spoke to them. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. When he sent his one brother off, he brought the others in. No, actually, no. I didn't take any notes this time. Sorry. Okay, when they came back with Benjamin, he brought them in to eat with him and everything like that. They thought they were going to be killed. Hey, we were they're probably thinking we cheated them and everything, and we're going to be killed here. That's why he's bringing us in, so he's not making a public thing of it. He's just going to slaughter us right there. But they were allowed to keep their weapons and everything, but they went in to eat and everything. But I just want to get to that point. I didn't make any notes here. I've been running sort of behind schedule, so I apologize here. So I'm sorry if this seems a little fragmented here. But anyways, Yosef understood them since an interpreter was translating for them. Yosef turned away from them and wept. Then he returned and spoke to them. He took Shimon from among them and put him in prison. Okay, yeah, I didn't jump the gun. Put him in prison before their eyes. Next he ordered that their containers be filled with grain and every man's money put back in his pack. Okay, I did jump the gun. But every man's money be put back in his pack, but they be given provisions for the journey. When these things had been done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and departed. Okay, well, they thought that Yah's judgment was coming down on them for messing with their younger brother and selling him off to slavery and everything like that. Like I said, I didn't take notes. I should have taken notes. I'm sorry. But anyways, we're still getting the story here. Even though I'm screwing it up a little bit. But, okay, here's what happened. Yosef screwed with them, put the brothers in prison. They thought, hey, we're being judged and everything like that by Yah for what we did to our little brother Yosef. And Yosef basically sent them back with their packs and everything like that with the money there. They thought that they were going to be accused of ripping them off, so that brought them even more incentive to bring Benjamin back. Okay? And just as it says here, but at the camp that night, as one of them opened his pack to give fodder to his donkey, he noticed his money. There it was, just inside his pack. He said to his brothers, my money has been restored. There it is, right there in my pack. At that, their hearts sank. They turned trembling to one another and said, what is this that Yahweh has done to us? Okay, so they're constantly feeling guilt for what they did to Yosef years ago. Okay, and they're basically thinking they're getting judgment on them. But basically, Yosef is being very generous with them and treating them very well. But the way Yosef received them, they weren't feeling very well. But then after this, that's when they were all brought in, and Benjamin got like a double portion, which is something to think of, double portion. But they ate and everything like that and everything, and then Yosef sent them back with all the provisions that they came for. Okay, but he made sure that one of his palace cups was actually put in Benjamin's pack. Okay, this is just to trap them again and to really mess with them. At daybreak, the men were set off with their donkeys, but before they were far from the city, Yosef said to his manager, go up after the men. When you overtake them, say to them, why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this a goblet that my Lord drinks from? Indeed, one he uses for divination? What you have done is evil. So he caught up with them. And he said these words to him. They replied, why does my Lord speak this way? Heaven forbid that we should do such a thing. Why, the money we found inside our packs was brought back to you from the land of Canaan. So how would we steal silver and gold from your Lord's house? Whichever one of us a goblet is found with, let him be put to death. The rest of us will be my Lord's slaves. He replied, fine. Let it be as you have said. Whichever one is found with the cup, or whichever one it is found with, will be my slave. But the rest of you will be blameless. Then each hurried to put his pack down on the ground. Each one opened his pack. He searched, starting with the oldest and ending with the youngest. The goblet was found in the pack belonging to Benjamin. At this, they tore their clothes from grief. Then each man loaded up his donkey and returned to the city. Now see, Benjamin is like their father's treasured child. And they saw how their father's heart was broken the first time when they did this stuff with Yosef. And he thought his son was dead, because he loved Yosef the most. Well, now Benjamin has taken that place in his life, and now they opened up their mouths and said, let whoever it is that has this goblet, let him be put to death. And here it is, Benjamin. And so that's why they did Kriya and just tore their clothes, and they're just overcome with grief. Because just to go back to their father, because they had to go to their father to talk him in to letting Benjamin go with them. And their father, he reluctantly said, okay, go ahead, And now, they're letting their father down. They're letting Benjamin down. They're just doing all kinds of stuff that is just putting extreme grief onto them. And when they returned to the city, Yehuda said, there's nothing we could say to my Lord. How can we speak? There's no way we can clear ourselves. Yahweh has been revealed, your servant's guilt, so here we are, my Lord's slaves, both we and also the one who is in possession of the cup that was found. But he replied, heaven forbid that I should act in such a way. The man in whose possession your goblet was found will be my slave. But as for you, go in peace to your father. Now see, this is an ongoing story here. It's a pretty important story. Now, a lot of people like to equate Yosef as a premonition to Yeshua, because he was betrayed for silver and everything, left for dead, and he was put in prison, which is basically in one of those prisons. Basically, it was underground, so he spent 2 years in the earth. There's not any kind of direct parallels, but there are some parallels to it. You see what I'm saying? But then he was raised to be at the right hand of Pharaoh, the king. You see what I'm saying? And he was in charge of all of the Pharaoh's business. And he held the same power as Pharaoh, unless Pharaoh was sitting in his throne. See how that's all working out? So a lot of people believe that this is like a foretelling of Yeshua. And in a way it is. But this is also a way that Yah works. No harm was going to come to Yosef's brothers or his father or anything like that. No harm was going to come to them, because Yosef had already determined, I'm just going to throw them in jail for a little while, okay? And I'm going to let them stew for a little bit and let them get all worried. And since Yosef knew his father and knew how much he coveted his children, it is not covetation or coveting in a negative way, but it's coveting in a loving, kind, godly way. You know what I mean? He holds his child close to him, But he knew how his father felt. He knows his father. He spent intimate time with his father. So, when he's doing this with his brothers, he knows exactly how his brothers are going to feel. Because at this time, Yosef didn't quite know or feel that his brothers felt any kind of guilt, any kind of real guilt for what they did to him. So he basically wanted to put them through that whole guilt cycle and see if they were actually going to feel total guilt, and they did. It was a totally successful mission that Yosef had. But as the story goes on, it gets even more interesting. Okay? But this is how Yah not only blesses Yosef. Okay, Yosef was a good, humble, and faithful servant, obedient to the Torah. Before the Torah was given to Moshe, the Torah was still in existence. Okay? It wasn't just running around saying, I believe. No. But Yah blessed him. Yah took care of him. But Yah also takes care of his people. And we're going to see in the next Parashah, we're going to see in the next Drash, where Yah takes care of his people through Yosef. Okay? Because, there's a famine throughout the whole land. Everywhere. All the countries are coming to Egypt just to get some grain. So we're going to see how Yosef actually handles this and everything. We're going to think that he's a socialist Democrat, but the way he handled things, well, yeah, it pretty much looks that way. But in extreme measures like this, sometimes you have to do what you have to do in order to survive, But we're going to get into that the next time, okay? But just remember, Yah's always looking out for you as long as you're looking first to him. Seek first the kingdom of heaven and all of his righteousness. Take care, folks. I look forward to the next time.